What's up, everybody? Welcome to Podcast Now Plus. I'm Alex, and welcome back to the Save Point Podcast. I wanted to have a show for you guys. I want to talk about what I've been up to over the past week, what's coming up, and also have a central topic being the Sony State of Play, the rumored Sony State of Play for early June. I know I haven't made a video specifically on it, so I thought, well, let's do it for this episode. Let's kind of make it the main thing we talk about. So let me first kind of go over just some background stuff of what's happened this week, and then we'll go into the central topic for this episode. So, this past week has really been a lot of Elden Ring and a lot of Evil Dead the game. That's pretty much the only stuff I've been playing. I played Horizon Forbidden West. I don't remember when. I think it was before Evil Dead, but I played a good 4 or 5 hours one night, and I got a pretty good amount through it. I got a good distance in it, and then I stopped. And that's kind of my problem because of all the games that had come out that I'm still not done with beating. And then you have a game like Evil Dead that comes out that I'm actually super into, and it just stops you from making any real progress in any of them. So I'm getting there with Horizon. I actually am. I'm getting pretty darn deep. I'm hoping to go for the Platinum probably over the summer months. I mean, because there's not going to be any other, we're going to get hit with a wave of games in June, and then after that, there's going to be another long, period of just nothingness that I need to use that time to beat my goddamn backlog. Otherwise, it's just going to be, I'm not going to beat them ever, most likely is what's going to happen. So, did that. Been playing a lot of Evil Dead the game, and I've been playing it with some of you guys. I don't know if necessarily if you guys watched the Save Point podcast, but no, I've been having a lot of fun playing Evil Dead. When I'm on, if I'm in the right mood, I don't do it every single night, but I try to play it, with you, send invites out to any of my friends. You could friend me, by the way, Podcast Now on PlayStation or Xbox, but I play it on PlayStation, so Podcast Now, and if I see you're on, if I see a friend of mine is on and they're playing Evil Dead, you get the invite, and if you join, you join. If you don't join, that's fine. I play by myself, or I play with my my friend in the UK, so that's pretty much, what I do there, but I'm having a blast. That game is so good, and I have nitpicks for it, and I have things I really, really want improved, but also I feel like I'm playing it more than most people probably would. Not as much as some. I've seen some people that have already max leveled out like a demon. I've seen demons level 45 or so. I think that's the max level for at least the Warlord demon. So I can't believe people have already done that, because you level up extremely slow. If you play as the demon in all the matches, you level up pretty slow, even if you win. Even if you win and you do a lot of damage, you level up pretty slow. You level up a lot faster if you play as survivors. So maybe people are playing as survivors, leveling up, putting those points into the demon and doing that. I guess that's possible, but I'm not really sure. But I haven't played it the most of anybody in the world, but I have played it a pretty good amount. And the game's super good. It's everything I wanted the game to be. I did a review on my main channel. I think early this week I did a review on it. It's everything I wanted, and meaning it's a game that I can go into. I can play it for long stretches of time, or I could play it for none, skip it a couple days, skip it a couple weeks, come back to it and play it some more. And it's a game, if I have a couple hours or I have 1 hour, you can play 2 matches. You can't do like a Rocket League, right? You can't play 5-minute matches. A match in Evil Dead is going to take probably 20 to 30 minutes. There's really, I guess it could take longer. It could also take shorter, but most likely not, especially as everybody starts to get better. It normally rests in that, 20, 22, 24-minute time at least. So it's just, I could talk all day about it. I'll leave it there. And then Elden Ring, I played a little bit more of Elden Ring. I'm getting there. I'm level 96. I can't believe. Every time I play Elden Ring and every time I talk about Elden Ring, number one, I don't tend to make as much progress as I would like to, but I always like to kind of say, with all that being said, I would, if you told me, even when Elden Ring came out, that I would have done this, I would have slapped you across the face. I would have been so blown away by the fact that I could actually play. I don't know where I'm at. I'm probably at 50 or so hours. How I could play 50 or so hours of this game, get almost to level 100, beat countless bosses, countless side bosses, play it as much as I had, not get so frustrated that I quit. And not just that, because you could die a trillion times and just keep playing, you know what I mean? But also have skill, have legit skill where you understand enemy patterns and how to dodge and when to strike and all that stuff. I'm not saying I'm good, because I actually don't think I'm very good at all, but I'm definitely I'm making it. And I've never played any From Software game as long, or I've gone this far, I've never played every From Software game. If you combine the time and effort I've put into the other ones, all combined, it wouldn't match Elden Ring. I've played Elden Ring more. So I still don't think it's my game of the year, which is odd. I still don't think it's my second favorite game of the year. It's not my favorite game of the year, but that doesn't mean I don't like it. I love it. It's my favorite From Software game, I would say, just for the merit of I've made it so far. So that's pretty much it. I haven't really watched. I've watched a lot of YouTube. I haven't really watched any movies, any shows. Once the trial is over for Johnny Depp, I'm most likely going to watch all 5 Pirates movies, win or lose, just to make myself feel better, support the guy. I'm not going to watch it on Disney+. I have them all on Blu-ray, like a Steelbook kind of pack thing, so I'm going to watch it through there. I'm not going to go on Disney+ to do it. So that's my plan for the future, but I haven't really watched anything, movies or, I mean, Doctor Strange, but that was several weeks ago at this point, and that's it. I'm going to watch Bob's Burgers when that movie comes out with my wife and daughter. That should be a lot of fun, and that's pretty much what I've been up to. Well, I have been watching a lot of the Johnny Depp trial, which is slowly killing me, but we only have 5 days left, and I don't. It's going to get better, I think, because Amber's side is going to rest. It's going to be more Johnny-centric, so this upcoming week should be fine. Talk about that and other stuff. But in terms of my eyes seeing things, I've seen a lot of that trial, right? That I've watched that more than any television show or movie humanly possible. Now, I did it to myself. I'm not blaming anybody but myself and the content, because that's why I've done it. Also for other reasons, but yeah. So there's that. In terms of the topics, so like I said, I didn't make a video specifically on this, but I wanted to kind of throw my opinion out there. So this Sony State of Play, yeah, that's what it's called. Right? So I believe it. I mean, looking at the calendar, so I'm recording this on May 20th on the Friday. You guys are seeing it the 21st. I mean, it's cool to imagine that within 2 or 3 weeks is the rumor that either that first. So June 1st is the Tuesday. It's the Wednesday. So June 1st is the Wednesday. Sony Thursdays, so June 2nd, I guess, is possible, right? Or you do it the week after, so that's the 9th or the 7th, right? That's correct. So one of those two maybe as well. So that's cool to think that within the next 2 or so weeks, we could be getting a State of Play. Now remember, a State of Play is not a PlayStation showcase. This is not the big one. At the same time, I think we're done with that we've had so far. I think we're done with the ones that are really going to disappoint people. None have really been all that bad to me. There was the indie one that wasn't really interesting to me, where they showed Little Devil Inside at the end. That one, in my opinion, wasn't good, but I didn't I wouldn't say it was awful. It also wasn't for me. I do love indies, but it's just, I don't know, the stuff they showed wasn't really my cup of tea, and even though I don't drink tea. And then that Japanese-centric one, I know everybody kind of flipped the heck out, where it's oh my God, in a bad way. I guess I kind of just said that in a good way. People really flipped out and saying how horrible that one was. I mean, at least with that one, or even with the indie one, they told you what it was going to be. They said, the majority of this is going to be Japanese-centric. So it's I expected games exactly in line with what they showed, and I actually kind of liked it. So I don't really think there's been a god-awful one this year, but that's just my opinion. So, but this upcoming one, if it's Final Fantasy-centric, right, or whatever, and it's going to be interesting to see how it goes, because there obviously is the idea that maybe God of War, right? God of War could get a State of Play on its own to then do a release date maybe in September. So you could do something like that. But if you do God of War, here's the thing. Here's my issue. And here's why I guess this is actually a long trail. I don't think God of War is coming out in September, because I think if God of War comes out in September, the game needs to be shown in a State of Play in June. That's not technically true. Because you could do a State of Play in July or August. I just don't think they will. Okay, that's kind of my caveat. So I think you're going to get the State of Play in June, and then Sony's not going to do anything in July and August, or maybe there'll be a game, maybe a Stray or something, right? And then September, they'll do the big showcase. That's what I think. So if God of War is the June State of Play, then it could come out in September. If it's not the June State of Play, I don't think it comes out in September, because I think it'll be shown in September for the showcase and then come out probably November, early December. All right, so that's my And the only reason I bring up God of War is because that's a big thing that's on, a lot of people's minds. The other thing you could do a state of play on is Final Fantasy. So here's why I think Final Fantasy is gonna be the thing that we're gonna see, is because we've heard so much about and kind of behind the scenes of like the trailer for 16 is done. It's been done for a while. It's been delayed to come out for a while. Not really even because of them, but because of something else. And what is that something else? Sony. Sony is the ones that are, I think, personally, they are the ones delaying it. Final Fantasy VII Remake. We just literally had Tetsuya Nomura himself, no better person to get the stuff from. He said a few days ago that we're going to get info on, now I think he said Final Fantasy VII for like the 25th anniversary. We're going to get that in June. Now, I think the remake, there is, I guess, a couple ways that could go. Square Enix could do their own thing for Final Fantasy, and they won't do anything for 7 Remake Part 2, and that would go with Sony. In fact, I think that's how they did it. Correct me if I'm wrong. Back when 7 Remake Part 1 was coming out or was being announced, I think there were times where they legitimately could have, or people thought they could have, but they didn't show it, because it has to be linked to Sony. I could be making that up, and I'm pretty sure that's true. So they could do something very similar where if they do like an anniversary thing in June for Final Fantasy VII, and that's Square Enix kind of presenting it, like they did with Kingdom Hearts 4, right, for the Kingdom Hearts anniversary, actually exactly like that. If they did that, they could do all the other things that aren't 7 Remake related, and then give Sony the 7 Remake Part 2 or, whatever. But mainly the Final Fantasy 16 thing really stands out. If I were to put money on it, I think it's most likely that if there is a state of play in the first 2 weeks of June, it could literally be Final Fantasy 16 set. Like that's the Horizon have the state of play. You go back to Demon Souls had a state of play. Ratchet and Clank had a state, right? Like they legitimately have like a 7 to 10 minute gameplay thing that's labeled a state of play. In fact, I like when Sony does that actually quite a bit. I think that's really what state of play should be. I think it works the best when you do it like that. So I think the most likely would be like a Final Fantasy 16. Here's a brand new trailer. Here's gameplay, and here's the release date. And you do it all in a 10 to 15 minute thing, and there's your state of play. I think that's an incredible thing. I think it would go over really well. I think people would be really excited. People would maybe be, where's God of War? I mean, it's Final Fantasy 16. If you don't like Final Fantasy 16, don't watch it. Watch the September showcase. That's when you'll most likely get right. So that's my opinion. But that's what I think is most likely to happen. Second most likely would be a Final Fantasy one, which would probably be a little weird because Final Fantasy is not Sony owned. But again, you have Remake Part 2 and you have Final Fantasy 16. So you could pull it off. But again, I think that would be second likely. Third likely, I think, would be God of War. Okay, so that's kind of my thought. And I really see no reason to not believe the early June thing. I mean, we've heard it from MBG, I think, had a rumor on it too. I mean, I'm not saying it because I trust him. I'm saying it because I trust everybody who said it before him. I don't know if it was the same person that told everybody else, then told him, or he's just taking other. I don't know. I don't know where he got his stuff from. But like we've heard from Jeff Grubb, Tom Henderson, a couple others. Maybe Roberto Serrano. I don't know how seriously you want to take him, right? But there's some people out there, many people that have said, early June, and I think that makes a lot of sense. It makes a lot of sense to do God of War there. It makes a lot of sense to do Final Fantasy there. At this point, I can't imagine how do you get out of June without doing a Final Fantasy 16 trailer? How does that not happen? Well, the answer is it doesn't. It will happen. And then you say, all right, well, we know they can't do it on their own. Square Enix is not allowed by marketing rights to do that on their own. So a Final Fantasy 16 trailer has to come from a Sony-run thing. Okay, well, is there a Sony-run thing happening in June? Well, there's not a showcase, so there's not going to be something that has a lot of many different things happening all. It's not going to have that. That's going to be in September, most likely. So the only last thing you could do is do a state of play specifically for, right, a 10-minute thing specifically for Final Fantasy 16. That's it. That's the only thing left. So that you combine that mentality, which is what I tend to do. I tend to kind of come up with things or look at how things are played and just combine them, because it's really not that hard to do that. And I think some people, for some reason, just don't see it. So that's what I think. So hopefully in the next 2 weeks we get something Final Fantasy 16 related. That should be really cool. And June, for the love of God, should be cool. No, it will be cool. I think June's going to be pretty awesome. Jeff Keighley's Summer Game Fest, I think the live show is going to be sweet. Xbox Bethesda, I think, is going to crush it. I really do. I think they're going to do phenomenal. So I think June, specifically the first half, really, the Xbox Bethesda show is the 12th. The 10th is the Mario Striker League, the soccer game, and the Quarry. So you have two huge games, in my opinion, two huge games to come out the 10th, the Friday. The Sunday is Xbox Bethesda, and the 9th, the day before that, is the Summer Game Fest live show. So it's going to be, the first half of June is going to be filled, and then maybe the second half can also still be filled with other companies doing stuff, and then July and August will tail off. August is when things will come back, and then we're into the fall, and I think Sony goes in September. I really, really do. And we'll see what happens with games. I don't know why this became a preview of the next 6 months, but here we are. Exactly 7 months, right? So let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Thank you for watching so much. Thank you for joining me on this podcast. Let me know any future topics or any future questions you want me to talk about on this show in the comments, and I will get to any of them. Really, I'm an open book, and we can talk about whatever you guys want. Make sure you're subscribed, bell icon turned on, and I'll see you all on the next video.